Okay, so far we have gone over converting from a fraction to a percent and from a decimal to a percent. So today we're going to talk about going from a fraction to a decimal and then to a percent. Although this sounds like more steps, it's often a lot easier and sometimes one of the only ways we can find to make a percent. So let's say I wanted to make 1/3 into a percentage. If I tried converting it to a fraction with a 100 on the bottom, it would be difficult because 3 times a number does not make 100. So I would have to use some kind of really weird decimal multiplier, and that's just a little bit too much work. So instead of doing that, 1/3 basically means 1 divided by 3. So think of that division bar in the middle as your fraction sign. Now, even though it seems weird, the numerator, always the numerator, is the one that goes in the house, and the 3 is the divisor and goes outside the house because it's 1 divided by 3. So the number you're dividing by goes on the outside. So we had learned several weeks back how to divide into a decimal answer even when we don't have a decimal. So 3 will not go into 1. So we put our 0. Now to keep going, we're going to put a decimal and add a 0. So now 3 will go into 10 3 times. And I'm going to subtract 9 and get 1. Now I don't want to stop there because remember a percent is out of 100 and right now I have 3/10, so that's out of 10. So I want to put another 0 in my dividend and drop it, and 3 will go into 10 3 times again. It would be repeating. It would keep going and going and going. But I can stop there because now I have 2 decimal places, which means that is 33 hundredths. So that would be equal to 33%. So that's what we're going to practice doing today. We're going to practice doing long division, dividing to 2 decimal places, and that will make your percentage for you. So going on to our next one, 7/8. This is another one that if I tried putting 100 beside it, it would be difficult. So this is 7 divided by 8. Divided by 8. So the 8 goes on the outside even though it's bigger. So 8 will not go into the 7, but we're going to put a decimal and then we're going to put a 0 underneath in the dividend. So 8 will go into 70. Oh gosh, let's see. 8 times 9 is 72, so that's too big. So I would do 8 times 8, and I would get 64, and subtract, and then I get 6. Now remember, I don't want to stop there because I want 2 decimal places because I want to go to the hundredths place. So I'm going to put another 0 in the dividend and drop it. Make sure you don't put the 0 up in your quotient because that's reserved for the answer. Now 8 will go into 67 times because 7 times 8 is 56. And it would keep going. If I wanted to get the exact percentage, it would end up being a decimal. But I'm just going to stop there. So I've got 87 hundredths, so that would be equivalent to 87%. Okay, going on to the next one. Now, if you want to, you might want to pause it, work it out on your own, and see if you do it. Now, even if you can do this one in your head, because this one can be converted to a denominator of 100, let's practice doing it with the long division. So this would be 3 divided by 4. So 4 will not go into 3. So we're going to put a decimal and a 0 to keep going. 4 will go into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 would be 28. Subtract, I get 2. Now remember, don't stop at one place. Go to 2 places. Anytime you're doing a percent, go to 2 places. So 4 will go into 25 times. And this time it did terminate. So 75 hundredths is 75%. So if there are 4 questions on the DOL, you get 3 of the questions correct. You would get a 75 as your grade. Okay, and going on to our last one here. So we've got 6/7. So who's going to go in the house? The 6. Always the numerator. And we are dividing by 7. The number you're dividing by is your divisor. It goes outside. So 7 will not go into 6. We're going to add our decimal to keep going. So 7 will go into 60, what, 8 times? Take away a 56, and we get 4. Now remember, don't stop until you go to 2. So we're going to drop. We get 40. Now 7 will go into 45 times. And we're going to take away 35, and we would get 5. Now, we could keep going, but we're only 5th graders, so we're going to stop there. We've already gone to the hundredths place, so this would be 85%. So my favorite way, I think the easiest way to convert anything into a percent is to make it into a decimal first. So practice doing that today on your problems, and you're going to see it on today's DOL.